Good morning and welcome to the CLT Life radio show. I'm your host, Jimmy G. I'm with my co-host here, Wals. What's up, Wals?
Not much, man. Doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing good. So we're back here on WDRB Media, 7:30 a.m. every Friday. Today, we're going to talk about what's going on in Charlotte, some things to do in and around Charlotte. We're going to give our recap of the Carolina Panthers football game from this past weekend when they finally got a win. First dub of the year. I give my weekly real estate tip, and then we'll get into your music. You got a new single that you just released.
Yeah, Anywhere.
Yeah,
Finally came out.
So yeah, tell me a little bit about your past weekend. What'd you get into this weekend? I know I saw some pictures. You were out there at Quail Hollow.
Yeah, so actually Thursday and Friday went out to Quail Hollow for the President's Cup. It was a great time. Lots of people, as many people as I've ever seen on the golf course at one time.
I heard them compare it. The announcers were saying it was like spring break and New Year's Eve had a baby.
Yeah, basically. Well, the thing is there's only, at most there were 12 groups on Sunday, I guess, and I wasn't there for that. So When I was there were either 4 or 5 groups on the course at one time, and so
very concentrated crowds, right?
Very concentrated on specific holes. And, people were even camping out on holes, like on the back 9, so that they could be in a decent spot when groups came through. So it was really just a big party. If you got to see a few good golf shots,
right,
and some good dramatic finishes to holes, then that it's probably worth it to you. But otherwise, it's just a big party. A lot of people out hanging out.
Got to participate in a few USA chants.
Yeah, USA chants. some cool stuff to look at. Seeing the grandstand that they built.
Yeah,
bleacher seating, that was really cool. So, it was, the build out was much bigger than a normal PGA Tour event. And you could just feel how grand they wanted to feel.
Yeah, I think it was like
was good for that.
Yeah, I think it was the biggest, like that grand stadium they built on the first tee. I think is the biggest stadium of that type.
Yeah,
that they've ever built for any tournament is what they were saying.
I believe it.
So yeah, I this weekend I ended up staying. I stayed around, stayed in town, stayed locally. We had a big event in my neighborhood, Taste of Walnut Creek, which was very good. We had lots of local vendors.
Right.
People who lived in the neighborhood came out and got to sell their wares, and it was a beautiful day. So lots of people got to come out, got to sell a lot of the CLT Life merchandise.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good day.
Which was great. That was a good day. Yeah, it was kind of like the proving ground for, I've done some online sales, but for people to come up to the tent and be like, I've seen your stuff online, and you're one of the reasons, like that stuff, that was one of the reasons that people wanted to come. So cool. Yeah, we sold a lot of merchandise. We raised some money for Carolina Breast Friends, nice. Which was cool with that pink ribbon shirt that we have. And then we sold some of the Carolina Panthers inspired gear. I got, the Charlotte Hornets, the Charlotte FC. So got some cool Charlotte inspired gear. So that was fun. That was fun seeing that move. And there's a lot of stuff going on in Charlotte. Like if you go to Charlotte's got a lot, or Axios, or any of those sites, you can see there's a ton of things to do. But there's 2 really cool things that we noticed that we wanted to point out to make sure everybody knew about for this upcoming weekend. The first one was the International Arts Festival in Ballantyne and Uptown. And I actually had some family that went to it in Ballantyne. So you're reading up about it. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, I don't know that much.
I know it's like an international art show, basically. It's like an interactive.
And they've got installations throughout Uptown and in Ballantyne. So, I think they said over 200 installations. So there's a lot of attractions as far as visual art to see. And they're also, I'm not sure locations and times and so forth. You have to go online to sort of get more specific, but there'll be some performing arts as well. Yeah,
that's what I was telling you about. I had some family members that went to Ballantyne, and if you go in the evening, they've got this huge screen out there, Ballantyne on the Green, and this huge screen. They had these aerial performers that were on ropes, and they were climbing, going up and down the screen, but they were walking on it like sideways, and it was set to music, and like they did one of the really cool ones was they did a Mario Brothers reenactment. They did like a like a fighting game, like an old school fighting video game.
Tekken or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool that we saw the video that they took. They had like walking dinosaurs throughout. So
I'm sure the kids love it.
yeah, Luke, our 2-year-old, he's obsessed with dinosaurs right now. So
exactly.
he would love that. Unfortunately, it's during his bedtime at night. But yeah, we might try to go out there during the day.
For sure. And I think it runs what is it? Until October 2nd. So you have until October 2nd, and you know, we're airing on September 30th. So you basically got this weekend.
Well, and then you have Taste of Charlotte, which is also this coming weekend. It's today, Friday, September 30th through October 2nd.
Right.
And that's a Truist. Yeah.
So
on the ballpark.
That ought to be. It's usually, you know, what, uptown in the streets, but I guess they probably can't have, with the art installations and so forth uptown, they probably needed to find another place for the Taste of Charlotte. So,
well, it used to be in the summer as well. And I actually remember, I think that was the first time you actually met Lauren, like 10, 11 years ago.
Right.
We met up at Taste of Charlotte, and it was like June or July. It was about 90 degrees outside. It was on Trade and Try On. I did karaoke, and she was like, "I'm dating this guy."
You sang Sweet
Caroline. I sang Sweet Caroline.
For the world.
For the whole world, which is a great segue, actually, because the Carolina Panthers got to play Sweet Caroline in their home building for the first time in over a calendar year this weekend.
Wow. It's hard to believe it's been a year since they
last week the Saints. Again.
Right. Beat the Saints again. But since they won a football game at home, it's just, you know, and almost since they won a football game, period.
Yeah, they were 3-0 last year and only won 2 more games since then.
So it's been a long road. We knew they weren't a terrible team. That was, you know, we never thought they were a terrible team. They didn't get the results they wanted in the first 2 games for different reasons. And so even though it was kind of, you know, an ugly win, even in this win against the Saints, we'll take it. And
any win's a win.
A win's a win. And the point is, we talked about how much they needed turnovers last week because they hadn't had a turnover through the first 2 games. And they came up big. The defense came up big, and they produced at least 3 turnovers. So, you know,
first 3 of the year.
Louvu forced the fumble that Marquise Haynes returned for a touchdown. And that was the first score of the game. And then JC Horn batted the ball, tipped
on a blitz. He just timed it.
And they were using the blitz pretty effectively. Horn got the tip that led to the Derrick Brown interception, and then Jeremy Chin got home and got to Winston for a sack on the blitz. So the blitzes were effective, and then also Horn had the game-sealing interception during the fourth quarter. So they forced turnovers. The D was solid, but we knew we had a pretty good defense, and the offense did just enough to sort of support them, and they pulled out the win 22-14.
So I had some notes that I took during the game. The defense, I thought the defense was really solid, really good defense. I mean, it's hard to shut out a team in the end. And I did see in the locker room afterwards some of the footage, and Burns addressed the team. He's like, defense, you know, we played a great game, but he's like, we still left some plays out there. That could have been a 0. We could have blanked them. Special teams was elite. So Eddie Pinheiro coming in, you know, he was a last second addition to the team, and he's been perfect so far this season on field goals.
Really good.
Hecker,
better than Slide, you know, better than when we had Slide.
Joey Slide.
And Gano's obviously really good, but even Gano sometimes felt a little shaky. This was years ago, so Pinheiro, you know, he looks good.
And that was after our kicker, and I'm blanking on his name right now. Hernandez, not Hernandez. But anyway, our kicker that got hurt during the preseason. And then we bring in Eddie Pinheiro last second, and he's been
great.
He's been really good. And Hecker from the Rams, he's punting at an all-pro level.
And he's huge. I saw a picture of him and Baker, and it was like, which one's the kicker and which one's the quarterback? For sure. Hecker, he's got to be 6'5", you know. 230 or 240 or something. He's a big guy.
Another big guy that we just brought onto the team, Laviska Shenault. So he was a healthy scratch the first 2 weeks of the season because he was new. He had just been here a couple weeks, and I don't necessarily understand it when you got an athlete and a playmaker like that. That's a rule, you know, a coach's decision, I guess. not to put him out there just yet because he was, he was in football shape. He had been in Jacksonville in camp all year.
They were trying to get him in shape, but no. And I saw where Rule said we'll play him more now that we've seen him producing a game. And it was kind of like, well,
how can he
you had
produce
to
if you
play
don't
him to see him
to get that opportunity? Yeah.
So I don't know. And that's one of the things people have a problem with the Rule for is just sort of the process, maybe some of the thought processes people don't necessarily agree with. Again, I'll say I've always wanted to give Rule the benefit of the doubt. And obviously Tepper has given him the benefit of the doubt, but just from a fan perspective and I don't know, it seems like he's on thin ice with fans because, well,
the ice got a little thicker with the wind, maybe,
but he's still questionable decisions. Like obviously people knew Chenault was dangerous and a weapon. And
last week I would liken him to Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, and you're right, exactly right. You give it to him. Baker threw that pass to him, maybe a yard, maybe it might have been
like a lateral pass almost.
It might have been lateral. And
he put sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, he made a guy miss and took it 67 yards. So
he made one move, put his foot in the ground, went upfield. I think he made he had one other guy like kind of overcommitted.
Oh, right.
Chasing towards the sideline. Within the first 10 yards, he cut in and then he was gone.
He was gone. And I mean, so he's big, he's fast, he's agile.
He's good in the return game too.
Good in the return game. Let's find a way to get the ball in his hands. And obviously the coaches want to do that, but it just seemed like so far they've just been a little stagnant. The offense has just been stagnant, and maybe seeing that spark from Chenault will do something for the coaches as well.
Right. Keep talking.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have weapons. They said.
Well, so we have the offensive weapons. We have skilled playmakers.
Skilled position.
You got McCaffrey, you got DJ Moore. We now see Laviska Shenault out there.
Robbie
Anderson. I would love Robbie Anderson to be our home run threat,
And he is. But it hadn't shaped up that way yet. Maybe, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe if we get these other weapons involved, it'll set us up for some shots over the top to Robbie, because he is a home run threat.
Yeah, and McCaffrey went for over 100 yards for the second week in a row.
Right. He needs all those touches. 25 rushes, 108 yards, 4.3 yards.
He would have had more. He broke off like a 30-yarder that got called back. That would have put him, even higher. But when we look at the passing game, though, you see Baker Mayfield's numbers. He was sub 500 completion percentage, 12 out of 25, 170 yards and a touchdown. And I think it was like 75 or so, 75 yards came on that one play to Chenault. Yeah. And talking about Rule's decisions, I go back to the training camp. You bring in Baker Mayfield to be your starting quarterback. And he's going to be your starting quarterback. Everybody knew it, but he was splitting reps with Sam Darnold, trying to learn a new offense. So, I'm wondering, what is it about the Panthers that we're struggling so much at the quarterback position year after year? Is it, we blamed it on Joe Brady with Teddy Bridgewater in Rule's first year. Last year, it was
Rule blamed it on Joe Brady.
Rule blamed it on Joe Brady.
I never blamed Joe Brady.
And then year 2, we blamed it on Sam Darnold being the same guy he was in New York.
Yeah.
And the line, he didn't have a line last year. The line is not the problem right now. The line, I feel like the line's playing pretty good.
Well, it's fine. The line is okay. The line is good enough to win with.
Right.
Darnold was never the guy. We talked about it. The whole see and goes thing, that soured me on him, years ago. So you let Cam go. You sort of said you want Cam to stick around, then you let him go. You bring in Bridgewater. You didn't see eye to eye with Bridgewater. You let him go. So you trade a second round pick for Sam Darnold, which I never thought was a good decision. No. He is what he thought he was. So then
Denny Green.
You bring in Baker and say you're going to have a quarterback competition, with Sam Darnold, and he doesn't get all the reps that he can get
in a brand new
offense in training camp in the preseason. And now it's taken him a little while to get adjusted to live game speed and so forth. So yeah, it's a series of questionable decisions, right, from Matt Rule that make you say, maybe you need to do something differently, buddy, because maybe Tepper's giving you a lot of rope, but you're gonna lose your fan base, at some point with all of these bad decisions. I think that's my opinion.
And we were saying before off air, there's a lot of bad offense in the NFL right now. Maybe it's because of that, the shorter preseason. There's only 3 preseason games. A lot of players aren't playing. I stayed up last night and watched Sunday night football, stayed up and watched the Broncos and the 49ers. That was 11-10. Yeah. And Russell Wilson, who's a 9-time Pro Bowler, he's been struggling to get it going. Kyler Murray, who comes in this weekend with Arizona, he's been struggling to get it going. So a lot of quarterbacks who usually are top producers, even in that Green Bay Tampa game last weekend, 14-12,
right?
Between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. So I don't know if maybe that shorter preseason is making it take a little bit longer for the offenses to kind of come around. The defenses are ahead.
Well, Wilson's in a new place, new situation. Denver's passing game, since Peyton Manning, when is the last time they had a passing game?
Peyton Manning.
And then Garoppolo, who was the 49ers franchise QB, basically, till they decided they want to go in the direction of Trey Lance. He didn't participate in training camp, really, because they were
now he's the starter,
and he was injured. Now he's the starter, so you can't expect much there. It's been documented how Green Bay has no wide receivers. I mean, they got maybe Alan Lazard, but they've lost a significant amount of production from their wide receiving core. Tampa Bay was without Mike Evans, Godwin's injured, Antonio Brown ran off the field whenever that was last year. So
Gronk
retired. They had to sign Cole Beasley and try to get him acclimated in less than a week. So whatever it is, everybody has their issues that they're dealing with, and it's just showing up in offensive production.
So should we not be as concerned as we probably are right now about Baker Mayfield's performance? Like how long is it going to take? Like, do we need to give him the first half of the season before we see what he's going to be, do you think? Or
I think we see what he's going to be. This is who he is.
I mean, he had success in Cleveland. Granted, he was handed off to Kareem Hunt
and Nick Chubb.
But he still took him to the AFC Championship game. And I thought 2 seasons ago, he was a good quarterback, I thought. Not a top 10 or upper echelon, but
he's still
a solid quarterback.
He didn't have any interceptions or fumbles yesterday. And, it's just a lack of production. And with all the weapons we have, we expect to see more. I mean, we saw more explosiveness out of Sam Darnold, to be completely honest. I don't think Sam Darnold's a better quarterback because I think under pressure, Darnold makes more mistakes. And part of the job is not making mistakes.
Right, so protecting the ball. And we didn't turn it over.
Yeah, we didn't turn it over. So from that standpoint, Baker's okay, but he's not elite. And they've just fumbled pardon the pun, they fumbled the quarterback position as far as establishing a starter and building the program around him. Since Rule's been there, they just haven't made good decisions at quarterback. And again, it falls in line with the other series of just, poor decisions that it seems like the coaching staff has made.
So, all right. So we got to the 10-minute mark to talk about this upcoming week versus the Arizona Cardinals. Right. Cardinals are coming to Charlotte. They're coming off of a 20-9 loss against the LA Rams, and they're struggling offensively as well. So what should we expect? Should we see, expect a 7-9? Like what are we looking for this coming up weekend?
I think one thing I wanted to sort of say was like the Bills lost. Miami's looking really good, right?
Yeah. Oh wow.
The Bills lost to Tua in Miami. Tua may have gotten hurt, but point is, I don't think there's a big gap between the best team and the worst team in the league, right? And maybe not, especially this year. There's more parity. So it could come down to injuries or just rhythm, timing, so forth. So in any given week, I feel like you can see one team or another play better or worse than you saw last week.
Right.
I don't expect a ton of consistency. I think the Panthers are slightly better than their 1-2 record. Like if they play
really close losses,
if they played the Browns and Giants again, I think they could beat them. So I think for all intents and purposes, the Panthers can win this game. And I think they can sort of maybe get on a little winning streak. That's what I'd like to see. And I think that's realistic to expect.
All right. So let's are you picking the Panthers?
Sure, yeah.
All right, me too. Count of three, we'll say the score, and then we'll move on to the next segment. So
sounds good.
You got the score in your mind?
All
right. 1, 2, 3. 20 to 16. Okay. Yeah. So we're in the same ballpark. 23-17, 20 to 16. So you got them winning by 6. I got them winning by 4.
Well, it'll probably be a 40 points. Now that we say that on record, both teams will probably score 40.
Yeah. So,
but no, Panthers, go Panthers.
Go Panthers, keep pounding. All right, so this is the time of the show where we do our real estate tip from myself, Jimmy Grappone, local realtor here at J Park Carolina Living, licensed realtor in North and South Carolina, working with home buyers and home sellers. And today I want to talk about selling your house. Right. And we've got a checklist here for selling your house. It's part of my home sellers guide, which I've got a home sellers and home buyers guide that anybody's interested, you can reach out to me. If you go to jimmygrapponerealtor.com, you can also go on the CLTLife.com and link into the real estate section. We'll have a section linking the music and all that as well, which we're going to get to that at the end of the show. So the checklist for selling your house. So first off, more inventory is starting to stack up. So interest rates are back up over 6% as of this recording, and we're starting to build up a little more inventory. So people that want to sell their houses, they really need to make their house stand out from the competition. Right. So there's a few basics, and then we have it broken down into 3 main categories. 1, make it inviting. 2, show that it's cared for. Number 3, boost curb appeal. So make it inviting. I always tell people that when buyers come to look at a home, they're looking for reasons to not like it. They're like, all right, what's not cobwebs right when you walk up to the inside it, the way it's staged, this light bulb is out, or you got too much personal stuff in there. So to make it inviting, 5 quick tips for showings: open up your blinds or curtains, let as much natural light in as possible. Make sure all your light bulbs are working, replace any that are burned out. Take down your personal photos and items. Fix anything that's broken. So if you can go through before listing and notice things that are broken that people are going to see, get a handyman, or if you're good at doing that yourself, fix those things up. And then give every room a purpose as well. So as long as you're not selling a home that's vacant of furniture, like if you haven't moved completely out, I always recommend giving every room a purpose. I remember years ago, I had a listing and they had a room right when you walked in that I don't think there was a door on it, or maybe French doors, and they had a bed in there. It was like, this is not a bedroom. Right. This has got to be the office. And so they ended up changing things around the way it was configured, and it had been listed with 2 different agents, and we got it sold in like 3 days. Nice. So staging is very important. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I include in my package is a staging consultation. As far as showing that it's cared for, that goes a long way too. I was with some buyers the other weekend, and going into the house, they're like, we can tell this house is really cared for. Right. And they decided to make an offer on the house because they could tell, the homeowner kept it clean, took care of it. So that goes a long way. Before showings, always, make sure it's cleaned up, vacuum, clean up, declutter for sure. Organize your countertops. I always say have your kitchen counters pretty much as clean as possible. Clear, touch up any scuffs that you have on the wall. And then you want to boost curb appeal. So you're getting people into the house through your pictures. Usually the first picture is the exterior of the home. Yeah. And then when people pull up in the driveway, the first thing they see is the yard. They see the front of the house. Right. They see the front porch. They see your landscaping. So make sure, your house, I'll definitely recommend doing a power wash cleaning on the outside of your house. Make sure your windows are clean, your doorway, your entrance is clean. Do a sweep down, and especially in the fall, you're starting to have leaves falling and stuff like that. So make sure you tidy up. So checklist for selling your house: make it inviting, show that it's cared for, boost curb appeal. If you're thinking about selling your house, give me a call. Love to talk to you. 704-313-8514. Again, you can go to the CLTLife.com and you can find all the resources to get in touch with me there. So, nice. All right. let's move on. We got about 5 minutes left in the show. Let's transition over to what you do creatively.
Yeah. So I like to write songs.
Yeah.
That's basically it. I like to write songs. No, I like to write songs and create content, video, like playing with sound.
So when you write songs, when you write the lyrics, is there like a track that you have in mind, or like what's the process? Do you write the song and create the music, or do you?
Usually I take music that I have from various sources, wherever I get the music from. I'll take the music, and I usually like to write about concepts. So instead of just putting words together, I like to start with a theme or a concept. And I'll spend a little time playing around and see what comes. And I usually write verses before I write a chorus. Now it may happen that a catchy chorus pops in my head, and I build around it. But for the most part, I sort of think of a theme, an idea, and I start sort of writing about that theme, and just rhyming about it usually. And then I'll get to through a verse of a song or so forth. And then I say, well, this is really going to be something I need a hook, I need a chorus. So I'll start focusing on the chorus, and see, once I get a verse and a chorus, then I just have to finish it,
right,
with another verse or two, or whatever the case may be, or figure out if I want somebody else to be on it, figure out if I need to change the melody, the music, in any kind of way. I work with producers sometimes who, build a song around the concept that I have in mind, so we can work together and collaborate in that way. I can go in and at home in my home studio and sort of play around with the sound too. So it's just usually it's my concepts, and then I can get collaborative with the music, because first and foremost, I'm a writer. And so that's what I enjoy doing. And then also getting with guys, video guys, and coming up with good concepts, cool concepts for video content.
Nice. And your albums and your music can be found streaming. It's on Spotify.
All streaming platforms. Yeah. Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, whatever you're listening to. My newest single, Anywhere, I just released it on Friday, September 23rd. Yeah, so it's out on all streaming platforms. You can follow me on Instagram at Life of Wals.
WALS, so one L.
One L, Life of Wals, WALS, one L, correct. Follow me on there. And, I'm just sort of figuring out some of the direction that I want to go. We're talking about getting into live shows locally, and sort of seeing where that goes. COVID kind of slowed things down for the live showing,
right?
But it was cool. It gave me time to just write more and sort of, figure out more about the brand that we want to share with the world. So yeah, follow me, tap in, check out Anywhere on any of those streaming platforms. Let me know what you think.
Yeah. So on the way out, then let's can we sample that song? And
sure.
And while you're teeing that up, you can go on Spotify or any of the different streaming platforms, and you can just look for Wals, right? Just WALS.
WALS Wals, and then you have to hit search.
Search, okay.
Because you type it in, and sometimes it's
Wals.
weird.
I saw Wals come up.
Yeah, it comes up weird. But if you put in WALS Wals and you actually hit the search, me kneeling down in the water in the Bahamas, that profile pic will come up, and you can check it out.
There you go.
So yeah, this is my new single.
Yeah, so this is I love the first line in here. We can go first class or buddy pass.
First class or buddy pass.
Doesn't matter. It's about getting away.
This features my good friend Mia from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. She's a great vocalist.
It don't matter if it's first class or buddy pass. Private jet, the coordinates to the island set. Drinks cold and the water on the island's wet. Behold, the prettiest scene your eyes have met. I can tell you wanna spend the week in Cozumel. Appetizer, put it in your mouth like I can nail. Aphrodisiac, the moistures on the half shell. We live good, we love a lot, we laugh well, relax well, we listening to Maxwell. Women work pretty wings through the bad spell. We outcast, baby, you can be my Jezebel. Oh yes, I love her like Egyptians, it never fails. We can play anywhere that you wanna play, babe. 'Cause we can be anywhere in the day, babe. And heaven is anywhere that we stay, babe. I'm telling you, we should just run away, 'cause we can play anywhere that you wanna play, babe. We can be anywhere in the day, babe. And heaven is anywhere that we stay, babe. I'm telling you, we should just run away, run away.
Hey.
We started in the trap, yeah. Now we throwing darts at the map, yeah.
You keep it going.
Text saying all I want is you, yeah. 3 emoji hearts after that. 2 connecting flights back to back, yeah. 1 life to live and that's a fact. In my prime like I'm ballin' in the swag. But now I just ball cause I mastered the art of rap. Protect at all costs, I'm a national artifact. And I don't question why these blessings keep falling under my lap. And you my better half, you entitled to all of that. Cause if it hadn't been for you, then I wouldn't be where I'm at. Wow. We can play anywhere that you wanna play, babe. Cause we can be anywhere in the day, babe. And heaven is anywhere that we stay, babe. I'm telling you we should just run away, cause we can play anywhere that you wanna play, babe. We can be anywhere in the day, babe. And heaven is anywhere that we stay, babe. I'm telling you we should just run away,
Run away. I tell you, sometimes in this life,
Right.
you just want to run away.
Run away. Disappear.
Get away for a little while, especially man, as a parent of a toddler right
As a
now.
parent with young children.
Young children, sometimes, man, we love them to death, but sometimes we just want to.
Leave them with the grandparents. You know,
Exactly,
go somewhere
exactly.
else.
Thanks for playing that, Wally, aka Wals. Thanks for checking out this show
Yeah.
every week. So it's airs on WDRB Media, which you can find on iHeartRadio, Streama, TuneIn, anywhere that's streaming. And we got some folks coming in. Anywhere that's streaming radio, you can find
Check
it on
us
there.
out.
7:30 a.m. every Friday, WDRB Media, the voice of the community. And then at 8 a.m. every Friday, you'll catch this video right here, which is the replay, which has the full version of it.
Yeah.
All right, Wally, appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, we'll do it again next week. Thanks for watching. Make sure you come back and we'll see you soon. Take care. Peace. You can come in. That was perfect timing because we were just finished.